Welcome to Dark Verse, your daily portal into the world of spine-tingling horror stories. I'm Isaac Nightshade, your guide through the eerie and the unexplained, bringing tales that will haunt your thoughts and stir your imagination. Every day, here at Dark Verse, we dive into a new story, from haunted houses and ghostly apparitions to mysterious phenomena that challenge the boundaries of reality. Whether you're drawn to classic ghost stories or modern paranormal mysteries, Dark Verse offers a chilling experience for every horror aficionado. Today you are about to listen to Whispers in the Fog, a tale that will lead you into the heart of Gray Harbor, a town shrouded in mystery and haunted by the legend of the Fog Whisperer. Join Evelyn Carter, a determined journalist, as she unravels the secrets of this fog-bound town and confronts the spectral figure that has claimed so many lives. Join me as we unravel the secrets of the unknown, sharing stories that will linger in your mind long after the lights go out. Don't forget to subscribe to Dark Verse and hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a journey into the shadows. Prepare to be captivated by the darkness, and remember, sometimes the most haunting stories are the ones whispered in the quiet of the night. Welcome to Dark Verse. Whispers in the Fog. Whispers in the Fog. The fog rolled in thick and heavy, swallowing the coastal town of Gray Harbor in its damp embrace. Evelyn Carter stepped off the bus, her suitcase in hand, and took a deep breath of the salty air. The mist clung to her skin, a constant reminder of the town's eerie reputation. She had come seeking a story, but what she found was a mystery that would test her courage and unravel the very fabric of her understanding. Gray Harbor was a place where secrets festered beneath the surface, where the past lingered like a specter in the fog. The locals spoke in hushed tones, their eyes darting to the shadows as if expecting something, or someone, to emerge. It was a town haunted by its own history, a place where the line between reality and legend blurred. Evelyn had heard the stories, of course, tales of the Fog Whisperer, a ghostly figure said to lure the unwary into the mist, never to be seen again. But she was a journalist, a seeker of truth, and she refused to be swayed by superstition. Yet as she made her way to the small cottage she had rented, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The cottage was quaint, nestled at the edge of the town with a view of the sea. Inside it was cozy, if a bit worn, with creaky floorboards and a fireplace that promised warmth against the chill. As Evelyn unpacked, she noticed a leather-bound diary tucked away in a drawer. Curious, she opened it, revealing pages filled with faded ink and tales of the town's past. As the fog thickened outside, Evelyn settled by the fire, the diary in her lap. She began to read, unaware that the words within would lead her down a path of danger and discovery into the heart of Gray Harbor's darkest secret. Evelyn awoke the next morning to the sound of seagulls crying overhead and the distant crash of waves against the rocky shore. The fog had lifted slightly, revealing the quaint streets of Gray Harbor. She dressed quickly, eager to begin her investigation. The town was small, with narrow cobblestone streets lined with weathered buildings. As Evelyn walked, she noticed the townspeople watching her with a mix of curiosity and caution. She stopped at a local cafe, hoping to gather some information over a cup of coffee. The cafe was warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the chill outside. Evelyn ordered a coffee and took a seat by the window, observing the patrons. An elderly man sat at the counter, nursing a cup of tea. His eyes met hers and he nodded in acknowledgement. "You're new here," he said, his voice gravelly but kind. Evelyn smiled. "Just arrived yesterday. I'm a journalist, here to write about the town." The man chuckled softly. "Not much happens here, unless you're interested in fog and fish." Evelyn leaned forward, lowering her voice. "I've heard about the disappearances and the Fog Whisperer." The man's expression darkened, and he glanced around as if to ensure no one was listening. "Best not to speak of such things. The fog has ears, they say." Intrigued, Evelyn pressed on. "Do you believe in the stories?" He hesitated, then shrugged. "I've lived here all my life, seen things I can't explain, but it's not my place to say what's true and what's not." Before Evelyn could ask more, the man stood, leaving a few coins on the counter. "Be careful, miss." The fog isn't the only thing that can swallow you whole. As he left, Evelyn pondered his words. There was more to Gray Harbor than met the eye, and she was determined to uncover its secrets. Her next stop was the town library, a small but well-kept building near the center of town. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of old books and dust. Evelyn approached the librarian, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Excuse me," Evelyn began. "I'm looking for information on the town's history, particularly any records of disappearances." The librarian regarded her with a mixture of suspicion and interest. "We don't get many visitors asking about that," she said, leading Evelyn to a section filled with local history books and newspapers. Evelyn spent hours poring over the materials, piecing together a timeline of events. The disappearances stretched back over a century, occurring every 50 years like clockwork. Each time the fog was thicker, the whispers louder. As she read, Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. The stories were eerily similar, each one ending with the same ominous note. The fog took them. Determined to learn more, Evelyn decided to visit the town's oldest resident, Mrs. Hawthorne, who lived in a grand but dilapidated house on the outskirts of town. The locals spoke of her with reverence and fear, claiming she knew more about the town's history than anyone else. Evelyn approached the house, its windows dark and foreboding. She knocked on the door, and after a moment, it creaked open to reveal Mrs. Hawthorne, a frail woman with piercing blue eyes. "Come in, dear," she said, her voice surprisingly strong. "I've been expecting you." Evelyn stepped into Mrs. Hawthorne's home, the air inside heavy with the scent of lavender and old wood. The house was filled with antiques, each piece telling a story of its own. Mrs. Hawthorne led her to a cozy sitting room, where a fire crackled warmly in the hearth. "Please sit," Mrs. Hawthorne gestured to a plush armchair. "I imagine you have many questions." Evelyn nodded, settling into the chair. "I do. The town's history, the disappearances, and the fog whisperer. What can you tell me?" Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes twinkled with a mix of amusement and sadness. "Ah, the fog whisperer. A tale as old as the town itself. Some say it's just a story to keep children from wandering into the fog. Others have seen things." Evelyn leaned forward, eager for more. "Have you seen it?" Mrs. Hawthorne paused, her gaze distant. "Once, many years ago, I was a child, playing near the cliffs. The fog rolled in, thicker than I'd ever seen. And then I heard it. A voice, soft and beckoning. I ran, and I never looked back." Evelyn shivered, imagining the scene. "And the disappearances?" "They seem to happen every 50 years, Mrs. Hawthorne nodded. "Yes, like clockwork. The last was in 1970. A young couple, newlyweds. They vanished without a trace. Before that, in 1920, it was a group of fishermen. The town has always been haunted by these events." Evelyn considered this, her mind racing. "Do you think there's a connection between the fog whisperer and the disappearances?" Mrs. Hawthorne sighed, her expression weary. "I believe the fog is a veil, hiding something ancient and powerful. The whisperer is its voice, calling those who are lost or seeking something they cannot find." Evelyn felt a chill, the weight of the town's history pressing down on her. "Is there any way to stop it?" Mrs. Hawthorne shook her head. "I don't know, but there are stories, whispers of a ritual that might break the cycle. It's said to be dangerous, requiring great sacrifice." Evelyn's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. "Where can I find out more about this ritual?" Mrs. Hawthorne gestured to a dusty bookshelf. "There are old journals, diaries of those who lived through the past cycles. They might hold the answers you seek." Evelyn spent the afternoon sifting through the journals, each one a window into the past. The entries were filled with fear and desperation, but also hope. One journal in particular caught her attention. It belonged to a lighthouse keeper from the early 1900s, detailing his encounters with the fog whisperer and his attempts to uncover its secrets. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room, Evelyn closed the journal, her mind buzzing with possibilities. She thanked Mrs. Hawthorne and promised to return. As she stepped back into the fog-laden streets, Evelyn felt a renewed sense of purpose. The town's secrets were slowly unraveling, and she was determined to see it through to the end. The fog had thickened by the time Evelyn left Mrs. Hawthorne's house, wrapping the town in a ghostly shroud. The streets were eerily quiet, the only sound the distant crash of waves against the cliffs. Evelyn clutched the lighthouse keeper's journal tightly, its pages filled with cryptic notes and sketches. Determined to uncover more, she decided to visit the lighthouse mentioned in the journal. It stood on the edge of the cliffs, a solitary sentinel overlooking the sea. As she approached, the fog seemed to pulse with a life of its own, swirling around her like a living thing. The lighthouse was old, its paint peeling and its windows dark. Evelyn hesitated at the entrance, a sense of foreboding washing over her, but her curiosity and determination pushed her forward. She stepped inside, the air cool and damp. The interior was as she expected, dusty and abandoned, with the faint smell of salt and decay. Evelyn climbed the spiral staircase, each step creaking under her weight. At the top, she found the lantern room, its glass panes fogged over. As she explored, she noticed a small, weathered chest tucked in a corner. Inside, she found more journals along with a collection of strange artifacts. Stones etched with symbols, a tarnished silver mirror, and a bundle of dried herbs. Evelyn's heart raced as she examined the items, her mind piecing together the fragments of the past. The lighthouse keeper had been obsessed with the fog whisperer, convinced that the artifacts held the key to breaking the curse. Suddenly, a chill swept through the room, and Evelyn felt a presence behind her. She turned, her breath catching in her throat. There, standing in the doorway, was a figure shrouded in mist, its form shifting and ethereal. The fog whisperer. Evelyn's instincts screamed at her to run, but she stood frozen, captivated by the figure's haunting presence. It whispered her name, the sound like a breeze rustling through leaves. The voice was both alluring and terrifying, promising secrets and danger. Summoning her courage, Evelyn spoke. "What do you want?" The whisperer tilted its head, the fog swirling around it. "To be free," it replied, its voice echoing in the confined space. "To end the cycle." Evelyn's mind raced. How? How can I help?" The whisperer gestured to the artifacts. "The ritual. It must be completed, but beware. The cost is great." Before Evelyn could ask more, the figure dissolved into the mist, leaving her alone in the lantern room. The fog outside pressed against the glass, a constant reminder of the town's peril. Evelyn gathered the artifacts, her resolve hardening. She had to find a way to complete the ritual and end the curse. But she knew she couldn't do it alone. As she descended the lighthouse stairs, Evelyn's thoughts turned to Tom, the local historian she had met briefly at the library. He had shown an interest in her research, and she hoped he would be willing to help. With the fog closing in around her, Evelyn made her way back to town, the weight of her discovery heavy on her shoulders. The whisperer's words echoed in her mind, a haunting reminder of the task ahead. Evelyn found Tom at the library, surrounded by stacks of books and old maps. He looked up as she entered, a curious expression on his face. "Evelyn," he greeted, "I was hoping you'd stop by. I've been digging into the town's history, and I think I found something that might interest you." Evelyn sat down across from him, placing the lighthouse keeper's journal and the artifacts on the table. "I think I found something too," she said, her voice tinged with urgency. "I had an encounter with the fog whisperer." Tom's eyes widened in surprise. "You saw it? What happened?" Evelyn recounted her experience at the lighthouse, describing the whisperer's message and the artifacts she had found. Tom listened intently, his expression shifting from disbelief to intrigue. "This is incredible," he said, examining the artifacts. "These symbols, they match some of the ones I've seen in the Old Town records. I think they might be part of a ritual." Evelyn nodded. "The whisperer said the ritual could end the cycle, but it comes at a great cost. We need to figure out what that means." Tom pulled out a map of the town, marked with notes and symbols. "I've been trying to trace the origins of the disappearances. They all seem to center around the lighthouse and the cliffs. If the ritual is connected to these places, we might be able to piece it together." Together, they pored over the journal and the map, cross-referencing the symbols with the town's history. The journal detailed the lighthouse, Keeper's attempts to communicate with the Whisperer, his growing obsession with the artifacts, and his belief that the ritual required a sacrifice. Evelyn felt a chill at the word. Sacrifice? What kind of sacrifice? Tom shook his head, his brow furrowed. I'm not sure, but it seems like the ritual is meant to bind or release the Whisperer. Maybe it's been trapped here, bound to the fog. As they worked, the fog outside thickened, pressing against the library windows like a living thing. Evelyn felt the weight of the town's history bearing down on her, the urgency of their task growing with each passing moment. Finally, they pieced together a rough outline of the ritual. It required the artifacts, a specific incantation, and a symbolic offering at the lighthouse during the height of the fog. Evelyn and Tom exchanged a determined look. We have to try, Evelyn said. If there's a chance we can end this, we have to take it. Tom nodded, his resolve matching hers. Agreed, but we need to be careful. If the ritual goes wrong, it could make things worse. They spent the rest of the day preparing, gathering the necessary items, and practicing the incantation. As night fell, the fog grew denser, and the air charged with an electric tension. Evelyn felt a mix of fear and determination as they made their way to the lighthouse, the artifacts carefully packed in a satchel. The path was treacherous, the fog obscuring their vision and muffling their footsteps. At the lighthouse they set, up the artifacts in a circle, the symbols glowing faintly in the dim light. Evelyn took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. Are you ready? Tom asked, his voice steady, despite the tension in the air. Evelyn nodded, her resolve firm. Let's do this. Together they began the incantation, their voices rising above the whispering fog. The air crackled with energy, the fog swirling around them like a living thing. As they reached the climax of the ritual, Evelyn felt a presence behind her, the air growing colder. She turned, her breath catching in her throat. The fog whisperer stood before them, its form shifting and ethereal, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Evelyn's heart raced as she faced the whisperer, the weight of the town's fate resting on her shoulders. The moment of truth had arrived. The air around the lighthouse was charged with otherworldly energy, the fog swirling in a frenzy as Evelyn and Tom stood before the fog whisperer. Its presence was both terrifying and mesmerizing, a spectral figure woven from mist and shadow. Evelyn's heart pounded as she held the silver mirror, its surface reflecting the ghostly light of the whisperer's eyes. The incantation echoed in her mind, a chant of binding and release, of sacrifice and salvation. Tom stood beside her, his voice steady as he continued the ritual. We call upon the spirits of the sea and sky to break the chains that bind this soul. Let the fog be lifted. Let the whispers cease. Figaro, whisperer watched them, its form shifting with the ebb and flow of the fog. Evelyn felt its gaze upon her, a weight that pressed against her very soul. She knew the moment of sacrifice was near, the cost of the ritual looming large. As the incantation reached its peak, the whisperer raised a hand, pointing to the bundle of dried herbs at Evelyn's feet. She understood then, the offering was not of blood, but of memory, of the past that held the whisperer captive. With trembling hands, Evelyn picked up the herbs, their scent mingling with the salt air. She held them aloft, her voice clear and strong. I offer this in remembrance, in honor of those lost to the fog. Let their spirits find peace. The whisperer nodded, a silent acknowledgement of her offering. The fog around them began to glow, a soft light spreading through the mist. Evelyn felt a warmth spreading through her, a sense of connection to the town and its history. The whisperer stepped back, its form dissolving into the light. The fog began to lift, the air clearing as the ritual took hold. Evelyn watched in awe as the whisperer faded, its presence lingering like a gentle breeze. Tom let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, his eyes wide with wonder. We did it, he whispered, disbelief and relief mingling in his voice. Evelyn nodded, tears of relief and joy in her eyes. The cycle is broken. The town is free. As the last of the fog dissipated, the lighthouse stood bathed in the soft glow of dawn. The sea sparkled in the early light, the waves gentle against the shore. Evelyn and Tom stood together, the weight of their journey lifting with the fog. The town of Gray Harbor awoke to a new day. The shadows of the past finally laid to rest. The whispers in the fog were silenced, the curse broken by the courage and sacrifice of those who dared to face it. Evelyn stood on the cliffs overlooking Gray Harbor, the sea breeze ruffling her hair. The town below was bustling with life, the fog a distant memory. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that the town's secrets had been uncovered and its future secured. Tom joined her, a smile on his face. Heading back to the city? Evelyn nodded, her heart full of gratitude. Yes, but I'll never forget this place, or the people. Tom chuckled. You know, you're always welcome here. Gray Harbor owes you a great debt. Evelyn smiled, her gaze sweeping over the town she had come to love. I think I owe it just as much. It taught me to believe in the impossible. As she turned to leave, Evelyn felt a gentle breeze, a whisper of thanks from the spirits of the fog. She knew that Gray Harbor would always hold a special place in her heart, a reminder of the power of courage and the strength of community. With one last look at the sea, Evelyn made her way back to the town, ready to share her story with the world.